very exciting for me to introduce Alison Stroming. She's a quadruple threat, known, for her dancing, but her career has taken off, and everything from performing artists kind of all over the world. I see different countries, and the ability to be on television, performing in front of with incredible Grammy winners and in shows and across, really across the globe. It's such a unique and impressive thing, and just can't wait to hear your story and advice you have for all of those, not only aspiring dancers and performers out there, but athletes and people that are pursuing their dreams. So I welcome you. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
I guess just take, the best is, let's just take us back to the beginning. Like how did you, you were born in Brazil, and then how did dance become your passion? How did this evolution happen?
Um, well, I was adopted when I was 10 months old, and my brothers were tap dancers. So dance was like in our family. I guess you can say the dance studio was like our second home. So my mom just put me into classes just to see if I would like it. I like, how other small dancers usually start, just for fun. And I really fell in love with it. I was also really, really shy as a kid. So my mom always said that, like, when I would dance, she was like, that's a different kid. Like, I don't know. So there was just that spark that I can't really explain the feeling, but it just clicked for me. And I loved being on stage. That was like my favorite. I loved performing. I loved competing with my team when I was at the time super young. And yeah, just found that early passion for dance. My mom let me try everything growing up. I mean, cheerleading, sports, gymnastics, and dance was the winner. So it was just an easy match.
And it's a compilation. We've had a couple dancers, and I have to say, in all of our conversations with Olympic medalists and incredible performers, the dance is something that's so unique. I mean, the not only the expression, but the training. I mean, it's up there, like you said. I mean, it's gymnastics, it's it's sports all rolled into one. And I think seeing a renaissance, of dance in the mainstream now that probably wasn't necessarily around when you were younger, but this explosion of dance. So how did you, take us back? Is there some time that how did you connect making your passion to kind of become your purpose, and that you're like, wow, I can do this. This can be a career. This is something I want to really follow. And what happened from then?
I guess that kind of happened. I realized like I, can make something out of this and, serve a purpose. I guess around when I was like a teenager, because I was training at a really American Ballet Theater, which is a very prestigious ballet school. And I think that's when it clicked that, this is what I want to pursue and make something out of it. So I would say that's like those are my years of like my heavy training and all of that. And that's when I put in like the most work and all the hours and all of that. And I was balancing school and ballet. So high school for sure. And especially being at American Ballet Theater, I was one of like 9 girls in my class. So that's when I was just like, you know what, I'm going to have to give it my all.
That's so great. So that goes right into the next P, which is that process, right? It's sort of when you make that decision, there are a lot of different pathways to go. When you sort of dedicated yourself in that intense training, can you walk us through, that was high school, so 14 years old, what switched in you? Because when you make that purpose, that the process becomes so important. And what kind of changed for you, or what kind of process did you have back then?
I mean, I guess it really hit that I just really loved the art form. And the cool thing about being at American Ballet Theater in the school was that the school and the company, the professional dancers, we shared the same building and the same studio. So I was always seeing all of the company members in rehearsal and all of, the principal ballerinas. And I was just really inspired by that. And I think I get a lot of inspiration from my surroundings. So I think just being in such an like iconic building, because American Ballet Theater, that building has been there forever. I think just being, in that hallway and having inspiration everywhere was just a huge part of it.
Great.
And it's a really, really tough art form. I always loved having like a good challenge and pushing myself. And I think that's something that's always gravitated me towards ballet.
I mean, unbelievable. What was just because we actually have a mixture of students here who play other sports and may not even know, what that is like, because, there are a lot of tennis players, there are a lot of people out there that train. Talk a little bit about what that intense, like those crazy intense years were like. What was your schedule like?
Ballet is very hard. My schedule, well, the very, very intense years were definitely high school. So it was about 3 years. I did graduate high school 1 year early. But I would go to school around like 8 to like 1 because I went to performing arts school. So American Ballet Theater was kind of like my major, I guess. So that was nice. And then I would subway downtown to ballet classes and rehearsals, usually starting around 2:30 and sometimes going till as late as 10 o'clock at night, and then going home and doing homework. And then I would have rehearsals on Saturday too.
Wow.
Sunday was my off day.
So that was pretty intense. And then what was again, for athletes, you have sort of your competitions, you peak for certain times, tournaments, or you compete for rankings. Talk a little bit about the competition and sort of the ballet, the challenge to make it to that level. Like, when you're training, is the goal to get into, what did you set your early goals for, and walk us through kind of your career, because I would butcher it. I saw it and I was like, wow, okay, you've got all these steps and done that. So how did that?
I mean, I think every ballet dancer's main ultimate goal is to become a principal dancer at the company, and a principal is the highest rank of a company. So there's 3 ranks in most companies. There's the corps de ballet, which is like all the dancers, then there's soloists, and then there's principal. And I guess when I first saw ABT in rehearsals when I was like 14, I was like, yep, I want to pursue this. So and I never really had a set company. And what I mean by that is there's so many thousands of amazing ballet companies around the world, but I just wanted to dance. So wherever that was, I just wanted to dance. And every year there's about 3 to 4, it's like audition season, and there will be about 3 to 4 different company auditions every weekend, and they all happen to be in New York. So I was auditioning all the time, and just fingers crossed that I got a job, and I got my first contract when I was 17. And that's when I moved to Canada.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you kind of made it, but your career has taken a lot of like,
Yeah, a lot of
yeah. So walk us through
but
that. Yeah.
that's kind of like normal. So
So yeah, walk us through. So 17, you moved to yeah, you're a New York kid, you moved to Canada.
moved to Canada.
And then how did your kind of career? So basically from 17, you're kind of a professional now, right? Like this is
Yeah.
this is it.
Getting paid to dance. So yeah, benefits, all that stuff. It's like I made it. I stayed in Canada for 2 years, and I did really like the company. The dancers were really, really sweet. I just didn't feel like it was a good fit for me. And I wanted to try elsewhere. So then I re-auditioned. Then I went to another company in California, wasn't a great fit. Then I went back to New York. I was also really missing New York at this point, and I was accepted to the Dance Theater of Harlem, and I spent 4 years there.
I mean, but then, so walk us through, so you fit that, and then, I mean, you had different and bigger ambitions, right? Because I see
Yeah.
you're on stage with Sarah McLachlan, and so how do you keep evolving? So what was the next evolution? So you were in Harlem, and
I
then
was in
dancing.
New York.
You're a pro, and where does that take you? Give us some
Yeah.
of the highlights.
After Dance Theater of Harlem, I honestly just needed a little break. And I was honestly starting to feel a little burnt out. And my family was living in LA at the time. And I've always wanted to live and just explore LA because I always was interested in the industry out here. Just because I also was still doing hip hop and jazz and all of that from my early training. And yeah, I moved out here just with the intention of staying here for a few months, and it's now been 4 years. But yeah, I was just feeling really burnt out. I mean, I've been dancing since I was 14, pretty much, all those rigorous hours. So and I was missing my family, so it was time.
So that's, I mean, it's so true, right? I mean, you really, that early work. I mean, I want to go back to what you said originally, being someone who's shy. Obviously, here with us now, it seems like your personality is anything but shy.
Yeah.
So you overcome. I mean, but it's so interesting, right? Like, how did you find, you were obviously in New York, early days of hip hop and dance. So you, while being trained in ballet, obviously you had these other interests in sort of other forms of dance. Talk a little about that. Like, what did how do you kind of reinvent yourself from strictly ballet, and how does that help you in other jobs? Because you've now been all over the world, and in different conventions and stages. So what have been the pieces that you put together that you think kind of are a little different than most pathways for
Yeah.
dance?
I think especially nowadays and how ballet has evolved, it's so important to be able to adapt to different styles. And what I mean is like a lot of new works now are happening where they're more contemporary or more abstract. And so um it was really important for me to keep up with those other skills and those other styles that I had. Also just wanted to keep my options open. And I always have loved Broadway. I mean, I grew up in New York, so I always saw all the Broadway shows, and just always wanted to, keep my options open, because why not? I just think you're always um, growing and evolving as an artist, as a dancer. So I always wanted to push myself and, keep up with my skills. Now I'm in acting school, and I'm taking singing lessons and stuff, and just trying to, be able to grasp and just learn as much as I can. And I think that's really important now, as dance is always evolving. Is just to keep an open mind, because you never know what's going to be thrown at you.
A great way to put it. And so in terms of like community and friendships, obviously, linking it to what ICL does, to create a platform that brings people together that are aspiring professionals. In the world we live in, there's a lot of average, I mean, kids go to school, kind of college, the traditional route, but with, dance, like you said, you turn pro at 17 and kind of don't look back. But did you feel that the community helped, like looking back, was there anything that you may have changed, or what kind of advice would you give to someone that is in that 14-year-old zone, ready to do it themselves?
Um, I mean, I struggled a lot with confidence, and it's that probably was one of my biggest obstacles, especially in a field like ballet, which is already competitive enough. And especially being at a school like American Ballet Theater, where everyone was just so incredibly talented, it was easy for me to compare myself. And I spent so much time and energy, trying to change this or change that. And instead of just, accepting who I am. And I think that's something now looking back, I would definitely have wished I'd changed earlier when I was 14 or 15, because it was really draining too. And yeah, there was like absolutely no time for any of that other outside noise. So yeah, for sure, confidence was a big thing for me. Um, but I did have some good friends. I mean, I had about two really good friends, and then my mom was just like my biggest support ever. So I was really, really grateful to have a good supportive family and a good base, which was really important for me. Um,
So we
but
have
yeah,
some great questions as they start coming in, because this is what we love about this is a Q&A, right? We have a lot of young aspiring athletes, dancers here, and we're going to kind of integrate people if they want to come up and ask Alison a question. But I'd really love to. What I love so much about your process is, out of this, you became an entrepreneur. I mean, you
yeah.
have, a dance line, you're looking into acting, you are teaching, you're mentoring, all of these elements that actually pose exactly the opposite to what you said. Like, someone who said that you felt a little lack of confidence. You've
Mhm.
obviously thrown yourself in ways that from the outside, I mean, that's pure confidence. I mean, to be an entrepreneur, to actually have the guts and the grit to start your own line. How did you get that entrepreneurial flair? Because that's something that you would think is
It's still
a
a struggle. It's still something that I struggle with, but I definitely got that little flair from my family. My family is very big in the business. My brother was really big in the entertainment business too. So he was a huge inspiration to me. And growing up, I don't know, my friends always said that I was kind of like a leader, I guess, which always meant a lot to me. And I knew someday throughout my career that I wanted to give back to the dance community somehow. So, and I always loved expressing myself through like my dance wear and fun colors and stuff. And I thought, maybe one day I could have a dancewear line for myself. And so that's kind of what sparked that. And then it led to, the mentorship, and then just trying to create this big umbrella. So
So
yeah,
I'd love to keep on that subject, because obviously ICL, the pillars are really about not just giving kids the time, the flexibility, the academic part, but the social entrepreneurship. I mean, for us, character and service leadership are so big. So maybe you can talk a little about what, when you put those time in. I mean, character is developed through the hard work, and the social entrepreneurship. How important are those to you? I mean, the kind of ideas of building character and that sense of social entrepreneurship.
very important. And I think it's really important to um how I carry myself, I guess, and making sure that, making good choices that, reflect me and reflect what I stand for. And then, I mean, honestly, my biggest goal and is just to continue to, or hopefully be an inspiration and a role model for younger generations. Cause I think that's just a huge important part of my career, is to, pass on my knowledge and kind of like cater to the next generation, I guess. So just keeping that as intact has been also like a really big sense of motivation for me too.
That's awesome. I mean, that's so much what you want to instill, because I guess a lot of these questions, and I'll ask the ones from the anonymous attendees, but then we'll ask people to come up and share it. But one of the questions was, where did you get your inspiration from? It was all aspects of dance, but what are the things that inspired you, most?
Um, a lot of my inspiration came from my fellow dancers. Um, and watching them, I always learned so much from just watching on the sides or watching in the wings during a performance. And then also, I was really blessed to live in some awesome cities, and New York being one of them. Not to be biased, but I love New York. It's my favorite city. I think it's the best city in the world. But I was constantly getting inspiration from my surroundings, like I mentioned earlier. But my biggest would be watching my peers, because there is so much that I would just learn and grasp. And, if there was something that I saw like a dancer did that I liked, I'd try to be like, ooh, how can I replicate that or something, So I was always trying to challenge myself too.
That's great. Absolutely. And then another question was, did you ever get really totally burnt out to the point of like wanting to just quit completely?
Yes. So that happened after Dance Theater of Harlem, in New York. And it's funny because I was actually, when I quit, I guess I can just say I quit. I did. Because every year you get your contract renewed, and I turned it down for the following year because I just wanted to break. But it's funny because I actually got another contract to go to Boston Ballet, which is another great company, and it was on my list of like, I want to dance for them, but I was just so burnt out that I was like, I turned down that contract too. And I wasn't, to the point where I wanted to quit, but there was some thought about it. But I think that's honestly normal, I guess. Like we all have these moments where we need a break, and that's totally okay.
And
Um,
that brings to our next question. We're going to
what
bring up
does?
an epic question. I think Nellie is joining us. Nellie has a question for you. Hey, Nellie, how are you?
Kelly.
Hello.
Where are you zooming in from?
I'm in Maryland right now.
All right. And are you a dancer? What is your passion?
I'm actually a soccer player, so I don't know too much about dancing,
All
Nice.
but
right.
I
It's
do have
all
a
it's all the same.
question.
Do you know Lionel Messi? I think he's a dancer, and he's part soccer player, part dancer. Pretty magical out there. But yeah, we'd love to hear your question.
I'm wondering how many if you're allowed to take any days off from a sport. Like would it affect your skills or anything?
Absolutely not. I Whenever we need a break, we need a break. We have to listen to our bodies, right? And if you ever feel like that pressure, that you have to, like, someone's like, you need to take class, you need to stay in your sport, you need to come to practice, and your body's telling you no, listen to your body first. Yeah, it's okay to take a break.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Nellie. When you dedicate yourself, you have this great dream, and while there's all this motivation and people are training, knowing yourself is huge. And a lot of times you get better when you reflect on things. So a lot of, and I'm not a dancer, and I wish I was as good a soccer player as you are, but you know, as a tennis player, a lot of it is here. As you get older, like that, like so much of the challenge, because you put the work in, and sometimes your body needs time to accept that. And when you work on things, that the rest actually makes you better if you have the right mindset. I think that sometimes, when Alison was talking about sort of being burnt out or in a company, like, she took that and then was able to, which we'll get to, kind of throw energy into other ways. And so it's a long, life is long and sports are kind of short, but they're incredible tools in life. Like the training, never think that the hard training days are wasted, even if you lose a game or, you didn't perform at your best. Those are all the process that make you better. I mean, if you listen to Alison's story, to be able to transition into entrepreneurship and mentorship and to be able to succeed, those lessons you learn from the training are important. And the time off, if you use positively to recover and think about how to get better. I know people in sports, I mean, the visualization, the off the field or out of the gym stuff is as important, in gaining it. So yeah, no, that's a great question. I think that's great. It's obviously to reflect on. And Nelly, how old are you? Are you 18? Yeah, pray.
No, definitely not.
How old are
Um,
you?
I am 11 years old.
Amazing. And do you love soccer? Do you maybe want to play, in college or even potentially go pro?
I don't know how pro would be definitely the next level, but I would like to go to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill to play soccer there.
It's a
Ooh.
great goal. That's an awesome goal. And guess what? Just for the record, dancing helps everything. I know that I lived with two NFL players, and in their
I know.
preseason, they were required. And I was a New Yorker. I lived with two Giants, and they were sent to Alvin Ailey, and they said that the toughest training that they ever had to do was ballet training. They couldn't do it. They said that the most pain. These are guys with the biggest muscles you've
Yeah.
ever seen. They just look like the Incredible Hulk, and they just came back because I was living with them, and they were like, my ankles are broken. They go, we don't understand how people do this, and it made them better, and they wanted to go back. And the great thing is perseverance, right? Like to just not give up, or if you decide to quit, it's on your terms and how you want to do it to get better. But I think what's great, as I said here, all athletes in honing your body, it'll be helpful in anything that you do. And I think dance is a special one, certainly for soccer. I what I love about, the more I learn about dance, you have a mindset. You watch soccer, and I was able to be at the World Cup, and I was watching some of the greatest players in the world, and it just seemed like they were just dancers. Like, it seemed like with the ball, what they would do, and moving it, and just, there's so much that's correlated in that, and dancers have to have such pure control of their bodies. But yeah, thanks for the question, Allie, and we'll get to some more questions as well. But take that break, but if you love it, recharge and come back. I love it. Yeah. So Allison, so more, I guess, this journey. So what happened when that next step? You told Boston, I need a break. And then, now you obviously have this line, you're mentoring, you're traveling. Looks like you've done choreography, so maybe that process, and how can you reflect on those early years of training helping you in what your goals are kind of now?
Yeah, I definitely learned a handful of amazing skills from ballet. And I think also growing up in New York, had to kind of grow up kind of fast. And so between growing up in New York and ballet, I've really just become, I guess, more aware of, like, priorities and what to put first and what to focus on, and also balance, and staying on top of everything. Yeah, I learned a lot through ballet. And so now being able to apply that as a business owner, and creating another platform for myself, I definitely can owe it all to my ballet skills, because you learn a lot about being a leader, dedication, hard work. And these are all great skills that, I learned at a young age. So now to apply it to my adulthood, for sure has helped me be able to create this next, I guess, chapter in my career.
Which is, that's so well said, and it's great, and it's so true. I guess, were there any big time inspirations, like when you got into it? Were there any, Michael Jordan, Roger Federer's, any people that you looked up to that you're like, I want to do that?
I actually was really blessed to meet Misty Copeland when I was 15. And I don't know if you guys have heard of her, but she's an icon right now in the ballet world. She is the first African American principal dancer for American Ballet Theater, which was the company for the school that I was dancing or training at in New York. And I met her in the hallways at a water fountain when I was like 15. And this was like before, she was Misty Copeland and very famous and well known around the world. And she kind of took me under her wing, and she became a mentor to me. And I still talk to her like pretty much every week and just, check in with her, and she checks in with me. But she was a huge inspiration to me. She also was like the only dancer that looked like me growing up. And she was just such a sweet, strong woman. And I definitely owe a lot of, who I am today to her, because she's just an incredible person.
So how did you pay it forward? So talk a little bit about mentorship and how important that is, and why you've also chosen to give back and mentor young people.
A couple of things. I mean, I'm also the youngest of all of my siblings, and I've always wanted a little sister. So now it's like I have like 20 little sisters, and I love them all. um, but it was so important for me to have a mentor, and now kind of like being in their shoes still as a dancer, and I wanted to, with my dancewear line, create something that's not, just about making dance wear and all that stuff, but also something to give back to the community, because I think that's so important, as I mentioned earlier. And to be someone for, these girls to look up to, or to even just talk to, because it was so important for me to have that support system. So why not be there for them too?
That's really cool. And that's really a beautiful thing. And I think that in life, that's that sort of chain, and hopefully, at ICL, that's a big part of what we have. I think finding mentors that understand you and build a community
Mhm.
around that. So, how would you describe the dance community and what you built, and what you see for your next goals going forward?
Uh, Well, the dance community, I'm very impressed. And now, as I teach and I judge on dance competitions, and the talent is just absolutely like through the roof. I know that the future of dance is very, very bright, because these young dancers are just absolutely incredible. And for me, next, I guess, in my career, I'm not sure. I
Oh,
have a lot of
it-
goals, and that's one of the things I need to work on, is trying to figure out, my process, because there's so many things that I want to achieve, and it's just trying to figure out how I can get them all done. But I have a lot of goals that I want to accomplish.
it's so funny. We have dancers on here, and there's a lot of anonymous questions. I guess that confidence thing. I mean, I have one here that said, "I'm a dancer, dancing since I was 3. I've been a professional since I was 9, and you're now 13. And I don't know if it's a he or a she, but actually met you at a workshop. I took a picture with you.
Oh,
Question,
cool.
I don't know who this is, but the question is, why did you decide to look into acting?"
Um, I wanted to challenge myself, because especially for dancers, we're so used to, expressing ourselves through movement. And of course, I've always loved movies and TV shows. I am a huge, fan of Netflix and binge watching shows and stuff. And there's a lot of actresses that I love. And also, I went to performing arts school, so I was around a lot of actors growing up. And I knew it was always something that I wanted to maybe try and just see. And you never know. Never know if it's going to be a dance movie or something coming out. So might as well just try it just for fun. And I live in LA, so this is one of the best places in the world to study acting. So I started, and it's a lot of fun. It's really hard, but it's really fun. And then it's nice to push myself and try something new. Yeah,
Great.
but
Um,
why not?
well, that's awesome. Do you have any I guess parting words for any of the young dancers, or looking in? Obviously, we're trying to create a program at ICL that can help kind of alleviate the stresses, support the mentorship, provide more time to train without the stress of, in this day and age, school is very tough. There are some great academies, they're great things. What would you say, you know, I guess, to talk or support of something like a program like ICL?
Yeah, I think something to remember is And I know this sounds like really cliche, but we all bring something to the table. And whatever field you're in, I know it gets really, really really get easy to compare yourself to others, even compare to what you see on social media now. I never had social media growing up. And I think it's really important to just remember to stay your course, and whatever happens it's meant to happen for you. And because like I said earlier, looking back, I spent all that time, trying to change myself instead of just, being myself the whole time. And I think as long as you guys can remember that, and always know that, you're special and unique, you'll be great. You'll succeed too. So
I love that. On that note, that is a great kind of final note. I want to thank you so much for spending the time with us and really getting to know you. And, hopefully we can make more inroads in the dance world together. And, ICL is here to support all these young dancers that you're with, and I want to help. Thank you for being a champion for us. And, look forward to seeing you and doing some more fun events with you.
thank you. And thank you, everyone, all the students, ICL watching. Thanks for tuning in.
All right. Take care. Thanks again.
All right, bye.
Bye.